focus, the final report into service delivery protests in Eldorado Park here in Johannesburg and the disruption of learning at Klipspruit West Secondary School has been released. The report was done by the Human Rights Commission and Gauteng Education MEC, Panyazi Lesufi. eNCA's Janke Tolmay joins us now from our newsroom to tell us about this. So, Janke, what in essence has the Human Rights Commission found in as far as the events that date back to 2017, second part of the year in 2017, where there were those tensions around the appointment of a black principal at that school?
Yes, Sula, some very serious findings made by the Human Rights Commission today in their report. And importantly, as you've mentioned, this dates back to 2017 when there were protests in Eldorado Park and then schooling was disrupted at Klipspruit West Secondary School. Because there is still ongoing unrest in Eldorado Park, this report does not necessarily speak to that, just for clarification. But if I can just read you some of the findings made by the Commission, which is pretty serious. Firstly, there's sufficient evidence before the Commission to find that there is racial tension in the Eldorado Park community and especially at the school. And it's the Commission's finding that the rejection of that black principal in 2017 was racially motivated and therefore unconstitutional and inconsistent with the law. Very interesting coming out from the Commission, because we heard during the hearings that the community was saying that they believe that the procedure was flawed, and it wasn't because the principal was black. The Commission now is saying that the procedure was not flawed. There wasn't any evidence to support that, and they believe that all of this was racially motivated.
Part of the context, of course, Janke, is that at the beginning of this schooling year, there were more tensions at Eldorado Park this time, in as far as the presence of some 7 teachers is concerned. And in all these instances, there's a denial that this has anything to do with racial tension, but rather with other issues that are coming up. How is the community likely to receive this, especially the school governing body and other stakeholders at that particular school?
I did ask the MEC, Panyazi Lesufi, about how they are going to interact with this community going forward, because I did visit the school this morning and I spoke to the new HGB, and they feel that they've been neglected. They're saying that the MEC hasn't been there for the past year, and they still feel that the former principal was not the one who needed to be appointed, and she was affiliated to the right people, and that's why she was in that position. So it is going to be quite interesting to see going forward how the community is going to accept this report, specifically, as you've mentioned, that just in a school not far from them, also in Eldorado Park, they are also facing similar challenges, and that's why the Commission also made findings saying that there's prima facie evidence that there is strong racial tensions between black and coloured communities within Eldorado Park, saying that not only the MEC when it comes to school, but also the Office of the Premier needs to get involved, where there is a survey to identify any illegal or policies that goes against the Constitution, specifically when it comes to racism in school, to the community as a whole. And the fact that they're saying that the local government and the provincial government needs to get together and they need to have some sort of dialogues and get the community structures also involved, because it is clear that there is tension in this community, because the coloured community, as we've heard in the hearings, saying that they feel marginalized and forgotten basically by government.
All right, thank you so much for that update, Janke Tolmay. It will be interesting to see how the various stakeholders take forward the outcomes, particularly the recommendations of that Human Rights Commission report that has now come out about the Klipspruit West High School situation that played out in 2017.